And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Live Viviana live stream. And tonight's topic is what does a delivery manager do and how to become one? So quite a specific one today. So thank you so much for finding some time this evening to join our live discussion. Please make sure to introduce yourselves in the comments. Let us know what you do and join our conversation with your comments and questions. If you're new to my live show, I'm Yana Martins. I've recently started my journey as an IT recruiter. So hence I've started a new YouTube channel dedicated to IT career in Australia. So tonight we are going to talk about what does a delivery manager do and how to become one. And Karthik is going to share his valuable insights and real life experience when it comes to, delivery manager career, because Karthik is a delivery manager. So makes sense that he will talk about it. As the world is changing, I'm sure there are a few of you who's been thinking, what's next? What should I do to, progress in my career? What's career path to change and so on. So if delivery manager is something you're considering, it's definitely a video for you to watch. And obviously, we are going to try to answer all your questions. So make sure to tag or share this with your friends who might need to hear this information as well. So before I'm passing it over to Karthik to introduce himself, I just want to remind you that we're going live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. To watch replays, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, IT Career in Australia. So I'm going live every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Melbourne time, with various experts from my network, and we're talking about all the things around IT, career, job search, and specifics of IT industry in Australia. So again, we're going to answer all your questions from all the platforms. Just stay on the topic. Don't be shy. Please, ask your questions or voice your opinion. We would be glad if you get more involved, in our discussion. And the most active participants might even get a nice surprise at the end of the stream. So that's enough of me. I'm passing on to Karthik to introduce himself.
Hey everyone, this is Karthik. As Yana said, I am a delivery manager, currently working as a delivery manager for a company developing software, cloud products, and what have you. But I will qualify this. I am no expert in delivery management or the term delivery manager. So this is more of this is what I do. This is what I understand as delivery manager to be doing, and also have an exploratory chat about what does this role really entail, what does it mean to different people, and how we can chart a career path in this particular field, right? So yeah, happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you, Karthik. Ryan is joining us, great guest. So he must know you.
Yes.
And guys also who just joined our stream tonight, please share in the comments, what do you think delivery manager does? What's your opinion? Maybe we have some delivery managers listening to us today or watching the replay. So please make sure to comment as well and share with us what you think. What's the main purpose of delivery manager in organization? And obviously, Karthik, back to you. So you are a delivery manager. So who is these people? What actually what does the delivery manager do?
Well, that's a pretty loaded question, Yana. Sometimes I would like to think a delivery manager is a jack or Jill of all trades, expected to do pretty much everything and anything. But I guess setting a context for delivery manager, not just as a title, but what is it that somebody is expected to do, right? At the end of the day, we're all problem solvers. We're all here to solve problems. And literally, if I were to write a job description for myself in one line, then I can say that I'm Karthik Subbaiah and I solve problems. Well, this also, is a good segue into a movie reference, although I know you don't watch a lot of movies, but I know that you've watched this one. as a fan of this particular movie, I figured that this would be a great example to share of what a delivery manager is. So let me start off by talking about consulting, right? So that's the easiest way to define a delivery manager. So usually, companies hire consultants. So when they hire consultants, they basically have a problem to solve. Either they don't have the bandwidth to solve it themselves, or they try to solve it and they've not been able to solve it. So they need someone to come in and solve. So in this movie, Pulp Fiction, a similar situation happens. You've got Vincent and Jules, who are gangsters, and they would be in a soup, and they would need a problem to be solved. They'd have this guy Marvin. They would have shot, and have come to this person Jimmy, and he would not appreciate the fact that they've come to him to solve this problem. So then they called their boss, Marcellus Wallace, and he says, "Don't worry, I'm sending the wolf." And these two guys are like super excited that the wolf is coming, right? So yeah, and then he shows up. Yeah.
I guess we just should quickly ask the audience if they watched the Pulp Fiction, because
Yeah,
just quickly, guys, like who are watching us. So have you watched Pulp Fiction? Nick is saying hi, first time on the channel. Welcome, Nick. Because it's funny, Karthik, you mentioned that I don't watch movies. And last time I watched movie was 2013. But the Pulp Fiction, that's probably the one that I actually watched a few times. So I'm really I'm glad that that's example from the one of the rare movies I've watched. So. Yeah, guys, let us know also if you watched this movie before, so that I guess this metaphoric example will be like on the spot.
On the point. Yes, exactly. So yeah, I mean, Wolf shows up and he solves their problem, and he does this in many different ways, right? One, he comes in, he asks a lot of questions, he understands and assesses the situation. He also understands the time constraints, how soon this problem needs to be solved, and he also understands what's at his disposal, right? I mean, he asks Jimmy, "Do you have new sheets?" He also asks, what the current situation is, about the car, the working of the car, and whatnot. So this is all basically aspects of problem solving, right? Assessing the situation. And also there's a lot of resentment as well from Vincent and in particular, because he's like, well, who's this guy? Why is he saying that, I need to do things for him? This is a very typical scenario that happens when consultants go in to solve clients' problems, because people sometimes feel, resentful, because why is somebody else coming here and barking orders? But then you also notice that same situation plays out here. He obviously has been sent for a reason. He's paid good money to do this work, and he actually gets the job done to the point where towards the end, of course, I mean, it's a high pressure situation. He keeps himself collected and calm, and solves the problem, and also adds in a lot of humor while he does it. He appreciates Jimmy's coffee. He makes a joke about their clothing towards the end, and then finally they both say, we appreciate your help, thank you so much, and he even responds saying like, that is respect, and so I guess from a consulting standpoint, the answer to what a delivery manager does is very simple. You're basically Winston Wolf. You're there to solve problems. You talk fast, you walk fast, you do things fast because you're running against time, and you need to achieve outcomes and results for your client, right? So that's, I guess, from a consulting standpoint, I want to address what I, perceive a delivery manager to be. What do you reckon, Yana?
I just hope you don't need to get rid of the dead bodies that often at your job.
So far, I have not. I don't know what the future holds, but so far I've not.
But I'm glad Wool can solve that problem. So guys,
Yeah.
if you don't remember this episode, maybe just go and rewatch the Pulp Fiction and see these examples, of the solving problems that Karthik just mentioned before. But I guess that's a consulting situation. But when delivery manager is a part of your team, like where he fits in the team in general, and especially like in agile world, we have so many different roles like scrum masters, product owners, delivery leads. Like, does the delivery manager fits into the agile structure somehow? Like, and if he does, where and what's his responsibilities there?
Okay, so this is where I think we enter into some muddy waters, right? Because first of all, before we even talk about delivery managers fitting into an agile setup, we need to question what is a manager doing in an agile world, anyways, right? If you look at anywhere you look at in the agile world, there is no manager or management. You've got either stakeholders or senior management are still falling under the stakeholder bucket. If you look at Scrum teams, you only have a Scrum master and a product owner, and everyone else falls into that development team bucket. So yeah, like agile delivery managers managing agility, like what does that even mean, right? So this is a question that I myself have pondered over for many years, and I don't think I still have an answer, because depending on who you talk to, either they firmly believe that there is room for a delivery manager or a delivery lead as a title, as a role in an agile team, whereas if you talk to another person purely looking at agile from that lens of adopting agile, they're going to be like, well, there is no such role, right? It's just a completely made up role. So frankly, I don't think I know the answer, right, to what a delivery manager does in an agile world. So it's all very subjective, right? So I can give a few examples, but I'll start with my own example, right? So when in my current role, yes, my role is that of a delivery manager, but then there are various aspects of the overall product development that I also take care of, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But then, talking to a few other people, you've got a team, an agile team. You've got they're doing Scrum, so they've got a Scrum master, they've got a product owner, and then they've also got senior developers, junior developers, and throw in a BA in the mix as well, right? And as you know, a Scrum team never has a BA, but then we do. So this all goes back to agile maturity, and has probably our good friend Arash can and give us a lecture on agile maturity and how is agile implemented or not in organizations. But in most organizations, the level of maturity is not there, which means everyone is doing their own interpretation of agile, right? So you've got Agile, where you mix waterfall and agile. What does that even mean, right? But people do it, and that's okay. So in that sense, right, delivery leads and delivery managers are kind of sort of doing a bit of everything. They are responsible for the end-to-end delivery of incremental software development, which means they sometimes participate and maybe even facilitate ceremonies, right? Your stand-ups, your sprint reviews, and your sprint retrospectives and whatnot. They're also talking to management and talking about budgetary constraints, overall schedule, timeline, speed to market, product maturity and how to get there, working with product managers and product owners to see if it's lining up with the product roadmap that was set up, and if not, how do we realign. And then, of course, they're also looking at, sometimes delivery leads have people reporting into them, which again is a very, it's not a concept that's defined within the, say, a Scrum framework, for example, right? But then people have. So then they're also looking after their team, their well-being, their career progression, what have you, and then put into the mix of incremental delivery of software as well. So that's, I guess, depending on who you speak to, what a delivery lead does or a delivery manager does. I don't know if that.
So you interchanging the name delivery manager and delivery lead. So for you, is it kind of the same thing, or do you think there is a difference? Is it just the title, or is it actually you feel like it's a bit different responsibilities between the delivery manager and delivery lead?
I mean, this is again just my observation and interpretation of what it means. So the term lead is usually associated with either a tech lead or a business lead taking over the team and ensuring delivery. So they are called as the delivery lead. So it usually correlates to one team, whereas the delivery manager, maybe sometimes will have multiple squads under their purview. Again, this is totally based on two different people saying these things. But then you talk to another person, they're like, well, in our world, delivery leads are people who are leading the entire end-to-end delivery of this entire initiative with like individual delivery managers per team. Now, in my case, if you see, like, I'm the jack of all trades here, right? We don't have multiple teams. We've got one huge product and a big global team, and I get to manage the entirety of it. So it's a very, very subjective question, I reckon. So I really don't think I have the answer to that. And I do want to like make a point, because if you truly talk in terms of Agile, right? The term delivery itself is not something that's well defined in Agile. There is nothing called as delivery, because then when you talk about delivery, then you're only talking about milestones and like hitting targets and getting X piece of work done. So if that's the case, then delivery manager's role is perfect, right? I mean, you just like deliver a product, but then you're not delivering a quality product. You're just doing X number of tickets, which means that will lead to, more bugs, which means you'll get more tickets. It's a great role to be in, right? You'll have constant work, and you just put in bugs so that you can fix it again in a few more cycles. So I guess these are all questions I still battle myself. But then, having said that, you're also a delivery consultant, Yana. So what do you do as a delivery consultant?
That's a great question. Like I think. All the Uber Eats deliveries drivers is working the continuous delivery as well. So,
Right.
it's definitely, delivery is definitely the word we can use in a lot of professions. I think the reason that my role called delivery consultant, one of the obvious reasons is because the word of recruitment started avoiding the word recruiting. Because it's just not that like a pleasant word to hear, and the interpretation is a bit different. So it's recruiting almost feels like people trafficking and get people into military or something like that. So delivery consultant just sounds nice, and at the end of the day, I need to deliver great candidates to the companies. So, and that's a part of my role. So, but at the end of the day, my role is kind of relationship building. So, but the wording is completely different. It's actually interesting when I change my status on LinkedIn. Some of the IT people actually thought I'm working IT now because I'm part of delivery.
Yeah, but see, that you hit upon a good point there, because relationship building is also another aspect of, I guess, delivery management, because you're building relationship with your product owner, your stakeholders, kind of, driving their, thought processes towards, organizational goals, and also sandwiching like the team goals and what the team wants to do as well. So it's a very complex, I guess, job description to encompass in a single 2-word title, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I actually want to ask guys who are listening to us, like, what do you think? Like, what's do you think is the difference between delivery manager, delivery lead? do you feel like a delivery manager, it's the role that need to be part of the agile system? What's, maybe you have some examples from your organization, so it will be great if you also can share it with us in the comments. And I guess, Karthik, we want to just dig a little bit deeper into this agile agile roles. And I think you also wanted to compare the delivery manager roles and agile coach. Yes. So what is the difference? Like, because sometimes it feels that agile coach is like looking after the whole process as well, and building those relationships. So what's in your opinion the difference between these two positions?
Sure. Again, this is just my understanding based on, going through agile transformations where, we went through an agile transformation in one of my previous roles, where we had agile coaches come in, and sit in as observers, right? And then see how we can, they had a vision for how to transform our teams into squads and then into tribes, and then and see how we function, and then also make suggestions to improve our overall team environment, right? So they also understood like some of the challenges that came with teams being organized in a squad fashion, because infrastructure teams would do things differently than software development teams versus like UX and UI teams. And then they'll take that information, that feedback, and then they'll also do workshops and coaching sessions to try and slowly improve actual agile way of working, so that finally the vision that they would have set for the transformation aligns with actual implementation as well, right? So that's kind of how I see agile coaches. And again, I know I have a lot of agile coaches as well in my network, and they're probably saying, "Oh, Karthik, what are you even saying? That's not nothing that we do. Like, we do so much more." I'd love to hear from them as well, because like,
we'll ask Harash.
We need to ask Arash. I mean, I have Jyoti as well, who's an agile coach and has been in the industry for a long time. So again, there's a lot of learning to be had as well there, because this is probably more beyond this discussion itself. I think we need to, as a group, kind of learn from each other to say like, what exactly happens in this situation, but then in my company or in this other company, it happens completely differently. So how does this all tie into, right? But then again, this list is basically what I think an agile coach does. And then if you look at the comparison of what a delivery manager does, and again, I've taken the example of like GDS as a company in Spotify, right? Like, and it's their content. So that's what they have defined in their job description, right? But then I see that some of the delivery manager content that's here are stuff that I do as well. Like, for example, delivering a product or a project within the management methodology, right? And frequency as well. Defining overall roadmap. This is something that I do currently, right? Leading a collaborative dynamic planning process with a global team. I do that too, right? And then actively participating in delivery management community. Well, that's literally what we are doing even now, right? Having these interactive sessions and trying to understand like what others do, how can we improve our processes, and then ensuring that product builds actually happen and with quality as well, right? So in an agile setup, I guess delivery manager is more like is like a student of agile, whereas coach is literally the coach saying you need to do these various different things, whereas the delivery manager then takes some of those aspects and then becomes like a mini coach as well for the team, because you're not going to always have an agile coach, right? So that's kind of how I see a delivery manager being like an arduous student who is continuously improving agile processes and making sure that we implement whatever version of agile that we want to in our organizations.
Yeah, and I guess in some way, do you think the delivery manager in some way similar to project manager, or is it again such a big question?
It is, and I think that's where we need to understand what project management really is, whereas and then what delivery management is, right? So project management, probably I would consider it as a subset or like a part of delivery management. Unfortunately, again, project management is in general a taboo word in the agile world, right? I mean, you're not managing projects, you're delivering products, or rather, you're building products, right? Let's put it that way. But then that's not the real world, actually. I mean, if you look at it, 8 out of 10 companies probably are not doing, they're only doing their version of agile. Everyone wants to incrementally deliver because the frequency sounds great. Like every 2 weeks, we're going to see something new. So everyone loves that. But then there's also a lot of inertia to change from the old ways of doing things, which is, we've got to put X amount of releases. We've got to increase this much revenue. Well, it's okay if we compromise on quality for speed and what have you, right? So project management then goes back to how do you manage the different degrees of freedom or constraints like time, scope, quality, resources, and overall bandwidth to deliver the project, right? So project management or project managers, I guess they can be delivery managers because project management is a part of delivery. But then there are other aspects to delivery as well, which is what I put together a little slide there, which is my interpretation again of based on my own experience of what I do as a delivery manager. So there are 4 aspects of delivery management.
Let's summarize. Let's summarize your your responsibilities.
Yeah, exactly. So if you look at delivery management, this is what I look at it as, right? Like one, obviously one of the main, focus is product direction, right? In that you're kind of putting the product manager, product owner hat. You're defining, the overall value, your objective, the vision for the product. And you are also defining how to get there, right? You're providing technical leadership and bringing about the concept to reality, right? That's one of the aspects of product direction that I provide, or delivery management that I provide, which is product direction. There is a small aspect which I've not mentioned here, which is you tie into this the project management aspect as well, which is can we deliver X amount of features within this time frame? Can we do it in this quarter? Was this next quarter? And what have you, right? The next is team well-being. It's imperative to create a happy team. It's very important to create a team that is joyful and come into work motivated to produce, right? So it's important that we have a skilled a team that's happy, and a delivery manager should be skilled at building that trust within the team, manage the team dynamics, motivate people, and then bring out the best version of themselves, right? So that would kind of be inside the team well-being aspect of it. And then, of course, be an agile or lean champion, right? Again, implement the version of agile that works for that setup, right? Let's drive a mindset shift from old ways of working to new ways of working, and then of course any change that happens in this front, how to embrace that change, right? So it's championing agile is one aspect of delivery management, and then lastly, servant leadership, right? I mean, at the end of the day, this is probably the most important aspect of delivery management, which is, are you a servant leader? Are you coaching your team, being there to solve their problems, without any egos, right? Really, I mean, again, this is where I also question: is manager the right term, or do we need to call that something else? Because people don't need to be managed, right? People manage themselves. What we need is leadership. So then giving that thought leadership, using diplomacy to talk to management and getting the constraints of the development team matched with expectations of the stakeholders, communicating those, facilitating those, and all that comes under that servant leadership bucket, right? So all this put together is probably what I do today, and I've probably not even captured some of the things that I do as well in this slide, but as concisely as I can is how I've captured it. So yeah, I mean, that's my own interpretation of what is it that I do and what is it that a delivery manager is expected to do, I guess.
I guess my question would be how technical delivery managers should be, because a lot of these things that you listed, it's like a lot of related to more like a soft skills and leadership, and
yes.
so you mentioned the few technical things there, but how do you have to be from the engineering background if you want to be a delivery manager? Like, do you need to understand the software engineering quite well, or can people from other industries jump into the delivery management?
Yeah, this is a great question, but I want to go back to my Winston Wolfe example, right? So he couldn't solve gangster problems if he wasn't a gangster himself, right? So it is always advantageous to know your clients, your audience. So coming from a technical background, and I do, I started out as a software developer before being who I am right now. So that definitely is an added advantage, right? And which is why I've also, like, speaking to people, I noticed that a lot of these delivery lead roles are led by the technical person, either an architect or a senior software developer or a technology lead is the one who's also doing delivery lead. But having said that, I think, right, the technical aspect of delivery management is, if you were to just put a percentage on it, it's probably what, 15% or 20% of it. The people and the process management is actually the more important thing, because in most teams, right, you have technically capable developers who are building your product. What they need is prioritization, help with like understanding what needs to happen in line with organization's expectations, right? So that for that, you don't actually need to be technical. Rather, you need to understand and articulate what the overall organization needs to the developers in the terms that they understand as well. So it is not necessary to be technical to be a successful delivery manager. However, if you are technical, you can cut through a lot of those difficult conversations, because one, you understand the developers in the language that they speak, and you're also able to articulate the organization's expectations to them, so that we can actually achieve outcomes. So to answer that question, I guess it's definitely an advantage to be technical, but you're never expected to be hands-on keyboard, let's go and code and solve problems, look at logs and see where you're getting an exception and go and research that. That's probably very small percentage. I'm sure that's happening in some organizations, and that's okay. And that's probably because they don't have enough staff, or maybe that's the expectation of the role anyways. But that's a very small percentage, I would imagine. But for the most part, yeah, if you're people focused and your people leadership skills are on the top of the ladder for you, then definitely you will be successful in the delivery management role, right?
And if we will talk about some, I guess, specific career paths, for example, where usually the delivery managers come from? Do you transition from? Can you transition from a software engineer to this role? Or like, I don't know, product owner, or maybe you've been doing project management. Like, where do you think usually people transition to delivery manager role from?
Well, I mean, I have not done the market research on this to know how people have navigated into delivery management. But look, I mean, I was a developer, and then I realized that, my people skills and my interpersonal skills and my understanding of business, and those skills are stronger, or rather, I was good at it as well. So I kind of pivoted into being a business consultant, and from there into an actual consultant doing various different roles, and then from there, because I was able to understand all aspects of software engineering, right from designing, architecting, to coding, to testing, that enabled me to then, and also project management and program management, right? That enabled me to then say, okay, look, I'm versatile, which means I will be able to do all of this. Plus, I had the on top of all of this, I was also passionate about people, and I had people skills, and that led me to this delivery management role, right? So it was more of a natural transition, I would say. Now, how can somebody become one? That's again, there's no template. I don't think there is one to say, okay, if I do X, Y, Z, I'm going to become a delivery manager. No, I don't think so. It's a role that, one, you cannot just get a certification and just start doing it. I can with authority say that for sure. It's probably a role that needs some time and experience in leading teams and in leading people, maybe. But sometimes also, like, you don't have to lead people directly, right? I mean, you will need to, lead people in a team setting. Be able to, like, bring various different people from different departments together and start solutioning on common shared goals and problems, right? If you have that ability, then yeah, you can most certainly become, transition into a delivery manager role. Again, that also, I guess, depends on what the organization is looking for, right? Like an organization might be like, I just need somebody to get shit done. I don't care what background you're from. I don't care if you are a chemical engineer, mechanical engineer. I just need this done. Can you do this? And tell me how you're going to do it. I'm sure there are organizations who want, like, in fact, I reckon if you ask, anybody in the industry, ultimately that's all they're looking for. Is they're looking for problem solvers. They're looking for people who understand the situation quickly, learn the scenarios or learn the situation, and then solve those different scenarios, right? But then they also want to make low risk hires, which means they have to put certain criteria in there, which then makes it look like as though, oh, I don't have any of this, so I really can't do it. So I think there is one, I think we as organizations also need to understand what is it that we want, and then describe the job in that fashion. And then also people need to understand that it's not as much as the role, but rather the responsibilities of the role, right? What is it that I need to do, and whether or not I can do it. So you can be anybody. I mean, yeah, you are not from IT. If you've got the people skills and you've got the situational awareness to solve a problem, you can be a delivery manager in an IT team. I have no doubt that you'll be successful as well. And that's true. The reason is there is no specific criteria for managing delivery. It's basically solving problems and getting from state A to state B based on certain goals and achieving certain outcomes, right? But then if I have to
changing my career. How do I apply? Where would I apply?
So if you go right now on LinkedIn and search for delivery manager, you're going to get like 1,000 jobs, right? I mean, I can put my money on the fact that not a single or no two jobs are the same. Like no two descriptions are going to be the same. So every company is looking at it differently. But the way if I were to define it, right, I would define a delivery manager as someone who's not only trying to solve the problem on hand, but also create a shift in the way we think, right? So what I call that as a mindset shift, and I think we've put together a small slide there. So it's basically, companies, get into the state where they want to change, but they don't know how to change. There's a lot of hierarchy we've put in place. There's a lot of control that we've put in place, and rightly so. It might have carried some weight in the past, right? But then changes are also happening ad hoc. There's a lot of privacy in terms of what you can do, what you can't do. Team then get into this fear of failure mode, so they're not brave enough to do things. They become shy, and then it becomes a chore, right? So delivery managers, essentially, while also trying to deliver outcomes, are creating purpose, right? They are creating a network team. They are empowering teams to be brave and do things in a planned manner. They create a level of transparency where everybody knows what's happening, and what path they are, they are taking. This is one thing I love to say, there is the sense of, failing proudly, right? Which is basically experimentation. Most companies get into this, we can't really try new things because what if we fail? Well, that's what delivery managers should focus on, coaching, not just the team, but also evangelizing that to the management, right? And then, get a sense of pride in the stuff that we build, which in this case would be software. So these are all things that a delivery manager would focus on in terms of mindset shift, so that real change can happen, right? We're trying to change the status quo to real change. So that is how I look at it. I'd love to hear people's thought on does this resonate with them, or do they have a different opinion of it? But if you've got the people skills, if you've got a get it done mentality, and if no problem is too big for you to solve, plus you're constantly looking to shift mindsets for a better world, then delivery management is for you, and you can become one. There is no template, for at least according to me.
Yeah, and I guess my question would be, is you mentioned that there is no template and there is no qualification you can do, but what do you think some of the qualification will be beneficial? Like, for example, maybe something around business, like understanding more business, or project management, do some project management course, or I don't know, setting up budgets. Like, would you recommend any particular upskill courses to aim for this career? Like, for example, if I'm a software engineer and I had some experience leading the team, I have good soft skills, what would other qualification I probably would be looking at, or maybe some courses to complete to get to the delivery management?
I think, learning is never going to fail you, right? So getting a project management certification, or for example, a Agile certification, Scrum Master, or SAFe certification. These are all things that will enhance your knowledge about how things get done, and then you can then apply your own interpretation of that into contextualizing it towards your workplace, right? So there is no harm in getting those certifications in terms of getting the know-how, but then that's not the be-all end-all, right? Not having those would not in any way, I guess, deter you from being a successful delivery manager. I don't have any certifications myself, except I'm a certified Scrum Master, but that's about it. But then I bring with me my consulting experience. So I have faced so many situations in my life where I've solved such problems that when you present a problem, I'm not totally taken aback by it, right? Because I've seen it. I know how it needs to be done. I know how to ask the right questions. I know who to ask the right questions and get there. So there are two ways to do that, right? One is experience, and second is innate qualities and abilities that people generally have. And of course, LinkedIn Learning is another great platform. You get customized, concise information that's needed, rather than going and taking a certification and getting a badge. You can actually enhance your knowledge to the point where you can actually get the job done. So there are avenues like that we can explore as well, to constantly learn. And I do that too, even today. I have a course that I've lined up for product development in LinkedIn Learning. So it's always good to learn, and that will always enhance your I guess knowledge. But there is no criteria as such that you need to have it. If you have it, great. I mean, you'll definitely be able to apply those principles in real life.
I'm always totally agree with you. Here we go. So you see,
Thanks,
your description of the delivery manager was, spot on. But
I was saying I don't know that myself, because I think I need to myself interview a lot of people and understand what is it that they do as delivery managers or delivery leads, and then put together like a concise docket of, okay, these are all the responsibilities of all the delivery managers in the world before we can say with authority that yes, this is exactly what's expected. So
yeah, definitely. And I guess it's time to wrap up the things. We're almost 45 minutes into our live stream, so obviously we can keep talking. I guess the last little question I want to ask you. You already mentioned that the course that you look up today was about product development. But I guess during your career, can you remember some course or something that you did that really was like a bit of an eye-opening for you, or
So like my my certified Scrum Master course that I did in the US was led by Steve Spearman, who in the Agile community is a well-respected Agile coach, and he really opened my eyes for true servant leadership and how do you achieve outcomes, right? And I think one of the key takeaways for me was letting go, right? Let things be and let things go, and empower the team to achieve those results. That is the role of a Scrum Master. But then I took that and used those principles in my own life to say, how can I achieve outcomes, right? So most people are given targets to achieve outputs. Outputs are, yes, it's tangible, it's measurable, you can do it. But outcomes are things that are not always tangible. They're not always quantifiable. So for me, I was lucky to get a trainer like Steve, who really opened my eyes for what servant leadership truly is, and how to embody that in real life. And so I was lucky to go through that one certification that I did, and I got a trainer who really changed the way I looked at things. So
yeah, perfect. So you never know, I guess, where you can find this eye-opening experience, and sometimes you can find it in your workplace through experience, or sometimes it could be the course as well. So I guess we never stop learning.
And if I may mention, so I follow Simon Sinek. He's again someone who's worked across the industry, and he says one thing that I've loved and I implement. He's like, be the idiot in the room, right? Ask a lot of questions. So I always go into any team, any structure, and I immediately become the idiot in the room, right? I ask the whys, the whats. I don't understand. Break it down. So the moment you start, annoying people enough that they actually have to break things down in terms that you can actually understand, everybody gets on the same page, right? So that's another takeaway as well for me. So it's not just like courses, but also try to follow like people who are leadership development coaches. They will also give you these golden nuggets that you can then use to improve yourself as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Karthik. I guess before we finish up, I just wanna remind you guys quickly that I'm going live every Wednesday at 5:30. So if you have any final question to Karthik, please pop it in the comment quickly, before we finish up. Otherwise, like next week, we're gonna talk with Peter. Oh, do I have a slide for Peter? Oh, I forgot the slide for Peter. So next, sorry, let me just find it. The little delay. Where is this? So here we go. I found it. So next week, we're going to speak with Peter about Agile product owners, leading versus managing. Sounds like a familiar, really similar topic in a way, yes?
Yes.
So we talk about the, delivery manager today. So next week, we're going to talk about product owners, what they actually do, like what's the difference and why they don't call themselves managers, and is there the space for the managing in Agile structure. So if you are a product owner thinking to become a product owner, make sure to join us next Wednesday, 8th of September at 5:30 p.m. So that's 8th of September. And obviously, as I said, I'm going live every Wednesday at 5:30. You can check out upcoming live streams on YouTube, or also join my meetup group, IT Career in Australia, where you can register for future events. And obviously, if you enjoy our discussion today, please make sure like this video. Yes, it will encourage us to keep going and keep bringing various experts from my network to share their knowledge. So yeah, if you get any value from today's video, please make sure give me a like, so that I know that I'm actually doing something useful for the community. So, and Karthik, before we saying goodbye, I usually ask my speakers to share their favorite inspirational quote with the audience. Please, put you on the spot.
Inspirational quote. Wow, that's a hard one.
While you're thinking, here is a comment from Luke. Thanks, guys. Really informative. I'm off to watch Pulp Fiction. Perfect, Luke. I'm actually, after this example, I actually feel like rewatching Pulp Fiction myself, which is, quite rare for me that I want to watch the movie. Here we go, Karthik. You inspired me to rewatch Pulp Fiction.
There you go. Good on you, Luke. Good on you.
So back to your inspirational quote.
Inspirational quote. Well, that's a tough one, but here, I'll give it a go. This is something that I put on my profile because it's something that I've thought of myself. This is about what is it that I want to do. I want to create enduring greatness with a paradoxical blend of personal humility and professional will. So combining personal humility and professional will, we can create greatness that endures forever. So I guess I couldn't remember a quote, so I'm just quoting from what I've said myself. So
let's create greatness. Here we go.
Yes, there you go.
that will be our logo for this live stream. Let's create greatness.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Karthik, for joining me tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching us. And I hope you get the value from our discussion. Let's create greatness, and I'll see you next Wednesday.
See you, everyone.
Thank you. See you.